Hi guys, Lovebooktrianglelindsey here, and this video is this versus that book style. For the first one, it's going to be the Infernal Devices versus the Mortal Instruments. Now these books are by Cassandra Clare. She has written so many, has done so many different spin-offs to these, and I'm curious to see which one you guys prefer more. And I could keep going on with the different editions she has of these, but I'm just going to compare these two together. This is a 3-book series and this is a 6-book series, and for me, I'm going to have to go with the Infernal Devices. These are the first books that I started to read when I got back into reading again, and I just fell in love with the main characters, the world, even the side characters, and I just love these books so much. I love Claire's writing and the twists and turns she can throw at you, and I'm just gonna have to go with the Infernal Devices on this one. Now, kind of going off of this series, my next this versus that is ending the series or having spin-off to the series. So we have the Infernal Devices, the Mortal Instruments, the Dark Artifices. So it keeps going and going. You get different characters in each one, but you get to revisit some of the characters you first fell in love with. So for me, instead of just ending the series, if it's a series that I really adore, I would love more spin-offs, because the world, like I said, is just one of my favorites, and I like that even though you get the new characters, you get to visit the other ones, and some stories just come around full circle, and there's even different novellas to these books. And if you know the Shadowhunter world, you just know how many books there are and how Cassandra Clare just has the magic to keep going with this series and keep adding more and more books. So if it's a series that I really like, I love the spin-offs. If it's a series I didn't like in the first place, you could just end it. Next is paperback or hardcover. Now, I am someone who just really likes a good paperback. I like being able to dive into my books and bend them, and I think that shows that they're loved. Sometimes I don't get too bothered when the creases get here in the spine, because that just shows how much I got into the book and I really enjoyed it. I get it that sometimes hardcovers are really cool with the book jackets. This is the best example because it's just black on the actual cover, but other books have really cool designs on the covers themselves besides the book jacket. And I'm not one to get too picky if something doesn't match in the series. I know some people, if they start out with a hardback, then they want the whole series to be in a hardcover, or same with the paperback books. I don't get too picky unless it's a series that I really enjoy. Then I want them to match a little more, but I'm also about, if a book is cheaper, I'm going to go with the cheaper book than the more expensive one, even if it doesn't match on my shelf. That's part of the reason why I start with paperbacks, because they're cheaper anyway. But paperback for the win on this one. Next is Harry versus Ron. Now, Harry Potter is just one of the most iconic series out there, and I know this has been probably done before or discussed with even a whole bunch of different characters in the book, but even though Harry is the main one of the series and is the one who's known and does so much, I am going to have to go with Ron. Ron is just quirky and gives you those laugh out loud moments, and fellow redhead, but I'm just gonna have to go with Ron for the win on this one. Next I have, do you prefer to read in silence or do you like some kind of background noise? I actually prefer to have some music in my background. The first couple of songs I maybe want to sing along to get a little distracted, but when I really need to crack down on a book, I kind of just put my headphones on and escape into the book. I need to tune out other noises, outside noises, cars going by or stuff going out in the hall, and I just need to zone out. Even sometimes I can have TV on as a background noise as long as it's not a show I'm really going to dive into. If I put it on a show I don't care about, otherwise I'll get distracted. But I like having some kind of noise in the background because just that dead silence, I just can't take it. I need something going on. Next is a hockey story or a football story. I am a hockey lover. I go to hockey games here. I have just always loved hockey, so for me, I'm always going to choose hockey over football. I just started going to hockey games when my brother was in Boy Scouts and the whole family could go along for an outing. And then as I got older, my dad and I started going to games together. That was our thing. Then when I hit college, my best friends now, they really like hockey, and it's just hockey for me. But hockey is what's in my heart. Hockey is the game that I love, so hands down it's always going to be a hockey read over any other sports read for me. And I really do love sports reads though, and even like sports movies. Those end up being some of my favorites, but hockey's number one. This next one is Church or Chairman Meow. And if you don't know the Shadowhunter World or series, I am sorry, you are not going to get to this next reference, but both of them are cats in that series, and I'm a cat lover. If you've watched some of my videos before, you sometimes see my cat in the background walking around, and cat lover, so I had to throw this out there. And Chairman Meow is a pet of Magnus Bane, and Church is just this grumpy old cat, someone trapped in the cat, and that only likes specific people. And I think I would have to pick Church because I would be that type of person who I think I could get that cat to like me. It's so random for the this versus that, but got to throw that in there. Another one, going back to the Harry Potter characters, is Snape versus Sirius, and I'm not totally sure what I would pick for this one. Snape, when you first learn of him, is such this terrible guy. He's always beating down on people, and not until later do you find out the reasons why. And Sirius is just this great guy from the beginning. He can turn into a dog. How cool is that? And he does so much for Harry, then you lose him right away too. So both these characters are just so unique and special in their own ways. I actually don't know if I could pick one because I like them both so much. So I don't know if I could choose a this versus that for this category. Next I have the book versus the movie. I know saying goes, the book is always better. You get so much more detail in a book, and there's stuff that gets left out because if you would try to fit everything that was in the book into a movie, the movie would go on for hours and it just wouldn't be that fun anymore. But in some cases, like The Hunger Games, Twilight, Harry Potter, those movies, these days I just tend to remember the movies more because I watch them over and over again, and sometimes these are the ones that just then tend to stick in my head more so than the details of the book itself. But I do get how the book just, you get so much more detail, but then when you see those books come to life on the screen, and just like the Hunger Games and Harry Potter, how amazing they do with it, makes you fall in love with those. So sometimes it's a tie for me depending on how they do with the movies. An example of one where I definitely prefer the book to the movies is the Divergent series, because they just completely went off base. If you've read the books and seen the movies, you know what I'm talking about. But when they can do such an amazing job with what they are giving, then you fall in love with the movies as well. Lastly, I have the Throne of Glass series versus A Court of Thorns and Roses series. Both are by Sarah J. Maas. And if it was just the first book of each series, I would have to go with A Court of Thorns and Roses, because I had trouble with the first couple in the Throne of Glass series. This book is actually the different novellas that go with this series. But with just finishing Kingdom of Ash, the wrap-up to the Throne of Glass series, I would definitely have to go with that. You get so many characters in both books, and I like how Sarah does that, because sometimes when you're given so many characters, you just get all over the place and you just want to focus on the main characters. But Sarah makes you fall in love with all the characters, whether they're the main ones or they're some of the side ones. And I really like that in both of the series that she has written. But I just fell in love more with Throne of Glass as the series went on. I still really love this series too. I know my friend had some trouble with how some of the characters spun with each other after this first book, but I went with the way that the author decided to go, so it was enjoyable for me. But this just had such a great conclusion, and love all these characters, love the storyline, love what she did with each different story and how it just kind of all wrapped together in the end. There's the little glimpses that get you thinking like, oh, I remember this from the beginning, and how she's able to tie that all together and just even remember what she wrote from the beginning to be able to tie that into the end. It was just a great job on her part. So I'm gonna have to go with the Throne of Glass series. So that is it for my this versus that. Let me know down below what you would choose, or if you have a hard time choosing some of these like I did as well. Till next time, guys. Bye.